Nashville Used and New Music, sponsor of Fox 17 Rock and Review.
Fox 17 Rock and Review, brought to you by Nashville New and Used Music. And I'll tell you what, great music never goes out of style with a Grammy Award-winning, BMI Award-winning, and host of the Opry, Jeannie Seely.
Thank you, Eric. It's so great to be here with you.
I appreciate it. You know, I've been trying to get you on TV with me for a while, and now you've got this brand new album written in song. And I've listened to the whole album. What a great job on this.
Thank you. I called it Written in Song, and I would say on the liner notes, you know, these are kind of some of the stories of my life. But I'm also quick to point out that not all of these mistakes were mine, because I'm a good listener to my friends and say, yeah, I'm sorry you're going through that as I write down the song idea, you know. But it's been a great project. One that's, Eddie Stubbs is one of the people at WSM or at the Opry that has always said, you need to record some of these songs that other people have done. We want to hear what the writer heard it like.
Well, you know, and I think a lot of people may not know too, Jeannie, to where you've written hit songs for virtually 6 decades, and you went to L.A. and were writing songs out there before you moved to Nashville.
That's really where I started. I grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania. When I finished school and worked a couple of years, I moved to L.A. just to get out of the northeast winters. When you're as bad a driver as I am, you don't need snow and ice to help you out.
Plus the warmer weather.
Right, yeah, and had a convertible, so yeah, I had to be out there. But anyway, out there is where I saw that there were a lot of people who were making a living singing and writing songs, and I just absorbed everything I could. And I signed with 4-Star Music out there. But actually, I'd been working in a bank, and I saw an ad in the newspaper for a floating secretary at Liberty Imperial Records, meaning they needed somebody, whatever department was kind of bogged down, to go in there and take over. So I applied for the job because I thought, I want to make a record, and I don't have a clue how you do that, so I'll go to work for a record company.
How smart.
And I did learn a lot.
Well, now, who was the artist that actually lured you out to Nashville then while you were out in L.A.?
Well, actually, Dottie West encouraged me. I met Dottie when I was living in L.A. She came out there to work at the old Palomino Club. But I had a few records cut. The first song I think I had done in Nashville, the publisher sent it back to Chet Atkins, and he recorded it with this new young female entertainer called Connie Smith.
Oh, how
Hall
amazing.
Of Famer now.
And you're still working with her now?
Oh, yeah. Little did I know that we'd be Opry sisters for 50 years.
Well, I wanted to bring up also, Jeannie, and a lot of viewers may not realize that you as a female kind of opened the door at the Grand Ole Opry, because you went on the Opry in a miniskirt. And a lot of things that you have done have really opened the door for female entertainers that a lot of people may not realize.
Well, some of the things I did on purpose, the miniskirt was an accident. It's really so funny because, as I said, I was living in L.A., and although I grew up listening to the Grand Ole Opry, I had never been there till I was on the show. So when I moved back here, and just a few months later, I had the record Don't Touch Me, and I was invited to be a guest. I wore what we'd been wearing in L.A.
Right.
And was the short skirts. When they called me into the office about it, I couldn't figure out what Mr. Devine was talking about, and he was too embarrassed to really say. It was quite a conversation, but anyway, we got past all of that. But that's kind of funny that
and I also wanted to bring up too on it, Jeannie, to where, you know, and we take it for granted because I don't know how many times I've seen you, you know, hosting on the Opry, but you know, that was kind of a big deal. You actually had to work to achieve that.
Oh yeah, for so long, female artists weren't allowed to host. That was just something that females didn't do, and I never could figure that out. And so every manager that came through, I would go knock on the door and ask for a meeting and bring that up again. And it wasn't until Bob Whitaker took over, and he He said, well, that doesn't make any sense. He said, you're ignoring 50% of your talent. You're ignoring 50% of your audience as well. And he said, let me think about it. And he said, all right, Seely, I'm going to run you out there. But he said, you better do it right, or we're both in trouble. And I do my homework, because I realized in the beginning that if I didn't do the job well, then the door would not only be closed on me again,
right.
It would be closed on all of the young women coming up behind me.
Well, you know, and it's
that.
evident seeing you on stage at the Opry, to where, you know, you don't use any cue cards or anything. It's all in your head, and you really do such a great job as well with new talent that is being debuted, and how, you know, you get the crowd wound up.
Yeah,
and
I love it when I get to introduce somebody on their debut night, because I like to tell the audience in the house, this is a moment, this is a night, no matter where this artist's career goes. I mean, Garth Brooks will still tell you that one of the greatest moments in his life was the debut on the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh, yeah.
So I always get the audience on their side too, to make it really exciting for them. But I love the new artists coming in. It's I learn from them every week, whether it's from the girls and how I should be thinking about dressing.
And you were setting the trends.
Yeah, but I count on them to keep me up to date
right.
now. But it's interesting to me to see and watch the audience reaction. And the unique thing about the Grand Ole Opry, when you stop and think about it, it doesn't happen at any other venue. You will see 3 generations on that stage performing, and you will see at least 3 generations in the audience.
It's amazing.
It's such a
and you always handle it like a pro. Now, I also want to bring up, a few years ago, you had a book that came out, and I think we've got a shot of that, and you know, you can't really see it now. What does it say on the bottom of it?
It says, Pieces of a Puzzled Mind by Jeannie Seely, and then it says, you can't judge a book by its author.
See, I love that.
I didn't want them to just be discouraged right there.
And you were talking too, off camera, that Whispering Bill Anderson called you and wanted to use a quote from the book.
Yeah, he used one of the pages in his book. He said, Seely, I love that so much, you got to let me use that in my book. And I said, fine, Bill, you just spell my name right and give me credit for it.
Now, that book is still available on your website. What's your website?
JeannieSeely.com.
Okay, and they can get the album too, the brand new album, Written in Song.
Absolutely.
And that's on your website. Now, will you be updating your tour information also? Because I know you're going to tour the album also.
Yeah, my tour schedule is on the website as well.
Do they have your Opry schedule on there too?
I think they do.
Great. I'll have to look now.
Yeah.
And make sure. Now, what about, you and I were talking off camera, Jeannie. What are you thinking about an autobiography or something in the future? I'm
thinking about it. Some of the people are gone now, I guess, that I could safely write about. No, I'm just joking. My book will be very up and positive, because my life has been so blessed, really. There have been some down times, but when you look back at it, there's always so much more on the upside. It's like the devastating flood a few years ago.
Right.
I lost my home and my car.
Wow.
The home I couldn't help, but I called my neighbor one day and I said, when we saw that river coming up, we couldn't do anything about our house. Why didn't we move our cars out just to be on the safe side? She said, well, you're blonde. I don't know what my excuse is. But on the upside of that, I found out how genuinely wonderful people are at times like that, how helpful they are. And I learned to be very grateful for a lot of things that I might have taken for granted before.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're very grateful to have you still performing on the stage and on tour.
You.
It's an excellent album, Written in Song. Be sure and pick up a copy of it. Just released last week, the big CD release party at 3rd and Lindsley, right? Mm-hmm. And you can always see Jeannie Seely on the Grand Ole Opry hosting also.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching the Fox 17 Rockin' Review.
The Fox 17 Rockin' Review is sponsored by Nashville Used and New Music.